For Werriwa.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Brian from Lugano is 54 and had worked for Donata for more than a decade before being stood down on minimal hours earlier this year. Like thousands of other Donata workers, he was excluded from JobKeeper, and because of his age, he's blocked from the hiring credit. Why has this Prime Minister made life harder for Australians like Brian during the worst recession in nearly a century?
The Treasurer.
Well, thank you, Mr Speaker. I thank the member for Werriwa for her question. And her message, like the message from those on this side of the House, is that the government has provided an unprecedented level of economic support to help Australians get through this crisis by effectively building a bridge to the other side, Mr Speaker. And if you look at where effective unemployment was in this country, it got as high as 15%. And today it's down to 9.4%, Mr Speaker. We have seen 446,000 jobs being created in the last 4 months. Consumer confidence was up 10 weeks straight yesterday, Mr Speaker. Consumer sentiment today was up for the third consecutive month, Mr Speaker. Our AAA credit rating has been reaffirmed, and we heard from the Reserve Bank of Australia that the government is on the right track. And if you look at our performance as a nation, both on the health and on the economic side, we have outperformed nearly every other country in the world, Mr Speaker, nearly every other country in the world. And we understand that there are still many Australians who are doing it tough. That's why we put in this budget a series of economic measures that will continue to support the Australian economy. That's why we are helping the private sector make more investments, because that again will increase economic activity, with the expanded instant asset write-off, with the loss carry-back measure, with tax cuts for more than 11.5 million Australians, indeed more than 71,000 in the honourable member's own electorate, Mr Speaker. And the JobKeeper payment, we've extended for another 6 months, out to the end of March, again supporting—
The Treasurer resume his seat. The Manager of Opposition Business on a point of order.
Thanks, Mr Speaker. A point of order on direct relevance. The case of Brian from Lugano that's just been spoken about, he works at Donata, he's ineligible for JobKeeper. The government's commitment to JobKeeper cannot be relevant. It cannot be relevant to his situation. He's been deliberately excluded from it.
Just before I call the Treasurer, the member for Lawler. I've forgotten that voice, but just say to the Manager of Opposition Business that the Treasurer has been able to arrange widely up until this point because of the final sentence of the question, which was very general about why the government's making it difficult for. So that's why he's been able to arrange widely. But specifically on this point, I think he's gone as far as he's able to go. But up until
Mr Speaker, I'm simply making the point that the unprecedented level of economic support is helping to create more jobs and helping to get more people back into work, including the member in the member's own electorate, Mr Speaker. This government will continue to have Australians back, and just yesterday made another announcement about additional support for the job seeker payment at a cost of $3.2 billion. We will do what it takes to support Australians getting back into work and getting to the other side of this once-in-a-century pandemic.